What are you doing here? I haven't seen you for 2 years, and you want to come and read some poetry. You want to do? All right, you come on and do the poetry. Thank you all for coming along to my poetry reading. It's lovely to see so many of you here, especially you. You've been saying for 2 years now you're going to come watch me do poetry, even though you hate poetry, but finally you are here. So I'm just going to start with my first poem. This poem is called How Long Can I Make the title of this poem till it doesn't make any sense, but people say they love it because they love poetry. They live and breathe poetry. They go to sleep listening to poetry. They watch slam poetry videos for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They go to the nightclub. They say to the DJ, can you play some poetry? But the DJ says, but no one likes poetry. The DJ turns to the crowd. The crowd shouts, poetry, poetry. The DJ starts playing some poetry. The club is bouncing on the poetry. The roof is raised on the club because of so much poetry. They're at the friend's funeral, and the friend goes up to the front, and he says, poetry, poetry. And the friends and family at the funeral say, poetry, poetry. And the guy in the coffin wakes up and says, see, without poetry, I'd be dead. Without poetry, I'd be dead. And it's a poem about my dad. My dad woke up one morning with a chip on his shoulder. He said, how the hell did I get a chip on my shoulder? Then he remembered he'd been cooking chips the night before, and when he opened the oven, a chip had jumped out, and now that chip was on his shoulder. And when he leaves the house, people say, there's the guy with the chip on his shoulder. There's the guy with the chip on his shoulder. There's the guy with the chip on his shoulder. Tried to take the chip on his shoulder, but the chip is stuck, and now he hates life. This next poem is about the Cars trilogy by Pixar, the trilogy about talking cars. And it's called Pixar, What Are You Doing? Pixar, what are you doing? Cars 1, Cars 2, Cars 3. Are you fucking kidding me? You made a movie about toys coming to life when you left the room, and that swept me up like a broom. You made a movie about what the bugs are really up to. I wanted those bugs in my crew. You made a movie about what if the monsters are more scared of us than we are of them. That was Monsters, Inc. I don't need a shrink. I've got Monsters, Inc. You made a movie about what if a rat could cook, and that grabbed me like a hook. You made a movie about a robot finding love, and that fit me like a nice warm glove. You made a movie about an old man flying into the sky to grieve over losing his wife, and that stabbed me in the heart like a knife. Then what did you go and do? You went and made Cars 1 and 2 and 3. A trilogy about talking cars. You should be put behind bars for making those movies and making me wait 14 years for The Incredibles 2. Fuck you. You done with your poetry? You done it? All right, good.